off season. Last time out in Daytona, if you did not watch, I'd recommend going ahead and take a look at that real quick, as I am about to spoil, well, I am going to spoil the results of that race, as every race is championship order, so whoever's at the top of the championship will start up front, and as this is the second race of the season, championship standings are equal to the race results from Daytona. Fernando Alonso walked away with a great victory, as Lando Norris and Albon from a little further back in the pack, especially Albon, had a great race, finished on the podium. It was a very exciting race with the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. He made 2 spots on the last lap, passing both Red Bulls, starting 4th today. Now, there is a little error I've noticed. Logan Sargeant is listed as British. That is clearly not correct. He is an American, and I'll make sure that his flag is correct before the next race. Without further ado, let's get it underway. Alonso leads uncontested through the first sector. Sergio Peréz now fighting with Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo trying to improve his position through the first sector. Can he get it done? He forces Sergio off the track there. Nico Hulkenburg and Kevin Magnussen both have gotten around to Oscar Piastri to get themselves in the points. Logan Sargeant has fallen back to P13 at the race start. Fernando Alonso immediately extending his lead. He didn't wait at all to get underway in this one. It'll be interesting to see if any certain cars that didn't do well at Daytona will do well here, and vice versa, as the Red Bulls look to be struggling a little bit on the first lap. Daniel Ricciardo is up to 6th. Nico Hulkenburg has got around Sergio Peréz now, as Kevin Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, and Carlos Sainz in a ding-dong battle for P9 at the moment. Red Bull's going to need to make something happen with their car, because they have been struggling. Fernando Alonso having a lovely race. Magnussen holding himself in the points. Lewis Hamilton up from 14th to 11th. Pierre Gasly up. Tsunoda up. George Russell up. Ocon up positions. Valtteri Bottas up positions. Piastri down a lot of spots. We had a lot of cars needing to pit for repairs there. Logan Sargeant found himself at the back of the field yet again. The top 4 have ran away. Max Verstappen is running 5th. He is nowhere near Leclerc. And here comes Daniel Ricciardo in the AlphaTauri. Very quick. Can Ricciardo make a move on Verstappen here? These two were teammates from 2016 to 2018 in Red Bull's F1 team. Now they're on different teams and in different cars. To the inside of Max Verstappen, can't get a move made. Verstappen may not have the car, but he is still one hell of a driver. And if these two make too much contact, Nico Hulkenburg in 7th is right behind them. He might be making an opportunistic move if he gets the chance. Sergio Peréz now is fighting with Sainz for P8. Daniel Ricciardo is about to reach the straight. This might be his best chance to make a move on Verstappen. He's been looking. Looks again. Verstappen closes the door. The driver who dominated the Formula 1 season struggling here in the GT3 cars. And I know it's not due to his inability to drive. I mean, he's on the simulator every damn day. looks like he's just got car issues as this pack is starting to grow. Nico Hulkenburg looking to make a move on Daniel Ricciardo. These two were former teammates in 2019 at the Renault F1 team. Nico Hulkenburg has the door closed on him. Daniel Ricciardo holds his position for now. This is a massive momentum track. If you lose your momentum here, you lose a lot of time. Daniel Ricciardo has lost momentum this lap, has not been able to get around Max Verstappen. Looks like there's a number 14 on the back window of that Alpha Tower. I'm going to have to get that removed if I can. So that's Alonso's number, who is leading the race. Norris hasn't fallen completely behind, neither has Albon or Leclerc. The top four are all sort of still in the mix for a win today. All drivers have decided to start on the hard tire again. I tried changing the tire that my car was on, but it seems to not have changed the driver's minds. I'll have to mess with the tire wear to try and encourage other compounds, either turn it up or turn it down. Probably turning it up. I also might be able to enforce a mandatory compound. I'll have to see if you can do that with custom races in this game. Fernando Alonso with a comfortable lead here, yet Leclerc does have the fastest lap, so potentially if he can get out of the traffic, he might have a shot at this. But he's stuck in a bit of a train here behind Alex Albon, has not been able to get around. As Daniel Ricciardo now looks to the inside of Max Verstappen once again. Verstappen, the master of closing the door today, stops Ricciardo from making a move, but for how long can Max hold him off? This is a 60-minute, 1-hour race. We're only 6 minutes in, and Daniel Ricciardo's been all over the back of Max Verstappen. And Nico Hulkenburg has even found his way to the back bumper of Ricciardo before. Sergio Peréz also doing a good job of keeping Carlos Sainz behind. He's been struggling. His teammates running up front. Carlos Sainz just not having a good season yet. Sainz looks to the inside of Sergio Peréz. He tries to force it. Peréz manages to block beautifully. Daniel Ricciardo right on the tail of Max Verstappen exiting the corner. This is going to be hard for Verstappen to defend. The slipstream is real useful down the straight. And that Red Bull has not been quick in the straights. Very unlike the F1 car that they've had this season. Here comes Nico Hulkenburg. He's really quick. Nowhere to go, though. Is Daniel Ricciardo unable to make a move on Verstappen once more. At this point, Nico Hulkenburg will start getting impatient. That Haas car is really quick in the straights compared to the two cars in front of it. Surprised Magnussen isn't fighting Sainz at the moment. As Fernando Alonso continues to dominate, as he did in Daytona last time out. All cars are equally fully upgraded with all the power they can have, so they're all within 3 horsepower of each other. And they have the stock setups. So, honestly, we have to see where this goes, because honestly, I didn't expect the Aston Martin to be so quick as it is. If certain cars are just a little too overpowered, we might just make them a little slower. I don't know. I don't want to shake the field up too much. For the most part, the performance is relatively, realistic. The Aston was pretty quick at the start of the season. The McLaren wasn't fast until the end of the season. The Williams was never fast, but the Ferrari was good. The Red Bulls, they look like Singapore spec. Lewis Hamilton is now fighting with Yuki Tsunoda. He's trying to keep the last non-points paying position. Both Mercedes finishing out of the points last time out. They're definitely going to want to make up for that. Oscar Piastri, his teammate runs second. Oscar Piastri runs 17th. I think last time I did this race, Oscar Piastri actually won it. But that was with BOP. The cars were different. I think some cars were BOP and other cars were maxed out. So it was pretty unfair. Logan Sargeant now finds himself in effectively last place, struggling while his teammate runs P3. Can Ricciardo make a move on Verstappen finally? As we go on board. Nico Hulkenburg is right behind, so if Daniel doesn't make the move, eventually Hulkenburg could get through. But Verstappen has done an incredible job defending now. He's been defending for almost 10 minutes. Holding on to that top 5, holding on to hope. He's currently in the position he started at, and he doesn't want to fall back any further. He most likely wanted to fight, but just wasn't able to keep up with the lead cars. As the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc now, he is starting to fall off of that top 3 podium pack. Alonso starting to pull away from Lando Norris, and this might open the door for Alexander Albon to try and make a move. We saw last time out that the Williams Jaguar tends to struggle with its tires in comparison to the field, causing both drivers to make mistakes, costing them potentially huge amounts of time. Albon finished 3rd with this huge wreck. He could have possibly won if he hadn't wrecked, for all we know. This track's going to be a little higher on the tire wear side, as there are a lot more corners. Corners are more frequent. It's also a shorter lap, so more laps will be completed than were at Daytona. Lap time is about, I think, 20-30 seconds faster here. But it's interesting, though, as we have Fernando Alonso leads with Lando Norris. They're both having great races. Those cars look like they're pretty dominant, but yet we have Oscar Piastri sitting 17th, and Lance Stroll is 18th. Both Piastri and Stroll are doing horrendously, and their teammates are doing incredibly, so I'm not sure how much of it is down to the car or really just the driver. Leclerc is really fallen off the top 3 now. Although, in no way is he under threat from Max Verstappen or any of the cars behind him at the moment, so with clean air, hopefully he can do something with his tires to increase his chances of catching back up. Daniel Ricciardo is hesitant to make a move. He tends to back out of the throttle. It looks like he's finally moves out of the slipstream, but a little too early maybe. Ricciardo can't seem to get past Verstappen at all. He's tried multiple times. He just can't get around him. He's got a quick car as Magnussen has made his way around Sainz now. Finally pushing. Peréz is all the way down in P10. Lewis Hamilton is 11th, quite a whiles back. So Checo's kind of praying that he can, you know, hold on to the spot here. I couldn't see Red Bull pulling a driver swap, as with the car that Daniel Ricciardo's in, I hardly doubt he would want to go in the Red Bull. Red Bull might need to find a new car because this NSX is not doing the job. Frankly, it's not doing the job. We do have a partnership with Ford announced for either 2025 or 2026. So maybe they could look into asking their new engine provider in the future to see if they could provide them with a ride. Lando Norris has finally caught up to the back of Fernando Alonso, and those two might start fighting. Albon going to get a decent chance to catch up to them. As we can see, his tires are doing a good bit worse. We might have an Alonso versus Norris championship fight. I would love to see a good championship fight. Not just a runaway championship, even though I am personally a big Alonso fan. And of course, this is just AI inside of a game, so whatever. We've only got 2 battles on track at the moment. We've got the battle for the lead and the battle for 5th through 9th, honestly. After both Haas cars just missed out on the points last time out, running 7th and 8th at the moment, they're going to want to try and capitalize on points here today. It's also going to be interesting to see if certain cars can do a one-stop and if other cars have to stop more than once. And I want to see if I can get these drivers to not just use the hards only, because, you know, it takes a bit of the interesting strategy out of it. Alright. Not too many interesting developments out on track at the moment. I'll be taking a small break from the box here. We'll keep our eye on the leader, Fernando Alonso, for the moment, and I will be back shortly. turn. Fernando Alonso still has the lead of the Grand Prix. Lando Norris's attempt at taking the lead was short-lived. Alexander Albon has fallen massively away from those two. He does have higher DEG, that is for sure. This potentially could give Leclerc a chance at the podium, but most likely not, as Nico Hulkenburg, who has finally gotten around both Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen, is absolutely hunting down the Monegasque driver. But its tires are, for lack of a better word, shot. Absolutely shot, but doesn't bother the German driver. Now this track tends to be about acceleration, and that is one of the Dodge Viper's best attributes out of this pair of cars. The question though is, can Nico Hulkenburg get that car to the halfway point without having to make a pit stop? Everybody else looks like they could go almost all the way on a singular set of tires. If not all the way on a singular set of tires, which would be really anticlimactic, and I would have to definitely do something about that if that's the case. Here's Nico Hulkenburg. Leclerc positioning his car beautifully. Hulkenburg, does he try and poke it in? No, he waits. Hulkenberg's going to have to do everything he can to try and reduce his pitting to just one lap, but like we saw in Daytona, he made a last lap pit stop with dead tires and lost 3 spots to never actually come out of the pits. If I'm Albon, you know you have to make at least one pit stop this race. I'd be thinking about potentially losing spots to drivers like Hulkenburg. Looks like drivers like Alonso and Norris might not be able to stretch a tire the whole way around. Drivers like Leclerc, he's in a decent spot. Verstappen's tires are looking pretty bad. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to do a whole race without making a stop. Pierre Gasly at the moment, Oscar Piastri, they don't seem to be doing too bad on tires. Lance Stroll's doing okay. Norris is doing a little better than Alonso on tires. Albon's not doing good on tires. But the Haas cars are doing the worst. I believe every car is going to need to come down at least once. There might be 1 or 2 people who manage to make the whole race without a pit stop, which would be pretty incredible. Although, unless I can make a certain tire compound mandatory, I do believe the AI will just default to the hard tire since it lasts the longest. So I'll leave the tire where it's at, because the hards can last half a race, which is a very fair amount. Leclerc's tires looking better than all 3 of the podium sitters at the moment. Don't think he can quite go halfway. I don't think he can quite go all the way on a single tire, but we'll have to wait and see. We don't really know until we reach the end of the race or his eventual pit stop. Lando Norris, though, has not let Alonso run away all. I'll have to give him that. Alonso is only about a second ahead of Norris. So it could be either one of those winning this race at this point. I'm not really sure. McLaren's just lucky they've got an old F1 GTR and not the 650S. Because I don't think that car can be anywhere near as quick as the F1 GTRs. Also, I don't think the F1 GTR is really a GT3 car, but in this game, it's in the Group 3 GT3 category class, so it counts. As the tires start to wear more, it's becoming fairly more evident that pit stops are going to be imminent for every car. Leclerc's tire left rear is almost half worn, and there's still another 5 minutes before we reach the halfway mark of this event. And of course there could be extra laps depending on when the line is crossed and when the timer ends. Albon will be looking just to make it halfway on one set of tires. Same as Hulkenburg. He's got at least 4 more laps, if not 5, to do on that tire if he wants to make it halfway. He hasn't been pushing to be right with Leclerc as he was looking like he's pushing. He might be trying to save his tires here at the end of this stint to make sure he doesn't have to make 2 pit stops again. Kevin Magnussen's not fighting Ricciardo and Verstappen, and his car's been very quick in a straight line, so he also might be trying to preserve the tire. Both McLarens went very long in the last race. Oscar Piastri is up to 13th. His tires are looking perfectly fine, honestly. He's looking like a decent shot at a 0 stop, since that's not illegal here. Pierre Gasly's got a little more tire wear. Lance Stroll's just running at the back with no hopes. Logan Sargeant also. Disappointing race for him. For the American, not the Briton. Carlos Sainz must have had an accident because he's down in 19th. He's last place. He must have had a spin but didn't get any damage. Or he did get damage and pitted to repair it, but for some reason the AI in this game are allergic to taking tires before they have to. Although rubber banding might be on Sainz's side. Don't know. Lando Norris dropping back a little bit to his former sort of teammate. In 2018, Norris was a reserve driver for McLaren. He didn't race alongside Alonso, but he definitely knows who he is. Leclerc is catching up to Albon at a pretty incredible pace. That Williams is not great late in the stint. That Ferrari seems to be just fine. Leclerc would love to get a podium. He's finished 4th in the last race, Daytona, gaining 1 position from his original start. And he'd love to just increase his finish position by 1 once again. Nico Hulkenburg looks like he just might be able to pull off a 1-stop in that car. Kevin Magnussen, on the other hand, his teammate, looks a little more dire. Kevin Magnussen might have to make 2 stops if he can't get that tire to last 1 more lap. Or he'll have to get really lucky with the timing. As Sergio Peréz in the points now due to up to 9th in the points due to Carlos Sainz's mistake, and Lewis Hamilton in a points-paying position. George Russell is not. George Russell is not doing well at all. He's had quite 2 underwhelming performances so far this season. Lewis has gained 4 positions and is sitting 10th with a chance of getting Perez, so Lewis is doing a lot better than he did last time out. Oscar Piastri, his tires are just about half worn, and we are just about halfway through, so we'll see if he continues to keep the pace mild and the tires alive, or if he pushes and tries to gain positions, makes a stop like everybody else. Carlos Sainz catches up to Valtteri Bottas, attempting to gain some positions and see if he can make his way back to the points. The fight for the lead has Fernando Alonso about 2 to 3 seconds ahead of Lando Norris now. Alonso will have to pit earlier, but that means he potentially gets an undercut. But that Norris has better tires at the end of the race. Kevin Magnussen is in now. We've reached 30 minutes, but it'll be hairy. We're not sure whether or not he'll make it to the end of the race on that tire, or if he has to pit again because his tire dies. Nico Hulkenburg, still, the left rear hasn't died yet. He gets loose there. Daniel Ricciardo has caught back up to the back of Hulkenburg, so you can see he's definitely struggling on that tire. They'd have to take that. They have to bring that car in this lap, but he still has a sliver of tire left. So unless that tire dies in the final few corners, knowing the AI, he will not come in. So I'm hoping for his sake that his tire does die. But Hulkenburg seems to be bringing the rest of the pack with him as Leclerc keeps a fair distance to Albon. Also, undercuts might not be faster here because it's not been the easiest track to pass at. There's only really one opportunity to pass here, and it's down this straight, unless you want to make an opportunistic move. As Hulkenberg's left rear tire has indeed died, and he will be coming in this lap. Nico Hulkenburg pulls a very good first stint and manages to keep himself relevant. Should not have to make another pit stop in this race. Leclerc now waiting for Albon to make a pit stop. Not sure when he'll do it yet. Lewis Hamilton running 8th due to the pitting cars. Now catching up to the back of Sergio Perez. This is for, I believe, a net point. Nico Hulkenberg manages to stay in front of his teammate in the pit stop phase. Oscar Piastri's tires. Oh, it's really tough to tell whether or not he'll make the end of this race. If he does end up pitting, it'll be very late in the race. But even with that in mind, as he gets through the first chicanes, Fernando Alonso's just crossed the line. So he's a good bit ahead of Piastri, who's not even at the back straight yet. In fact, Piastri is about to enter the back straight as Alonso gets through the first set of chicanes. So while Piastri would gain some time not ever having to pit, he's definitely not going to take a win for that strategy. There's a lot of shade on this track, which actually I didn't think about, but that is definitely going to help with tire wear because certain parts of the track are cooler. Albon really starting to lag behind the rest of the podium sitters, with other cars on his tail. The Williams did make it halfway through the race, though, and will go further than that on one set of tires, so... Also, I was wrong. The tire wear is not as intensive here as it was at Daytona. I'm a little surprised, but yeah, the tire wear at Daytona was harsher on certain cars. Looks like the Haas, it was struggling tires both tracks. Nico Hulkenburg in 10th is now going to be hunting down Yuki Tsunoda. Alex Albon has not made a mistake in this race. He did have a big mistake in Daytona, which costed him potentially P2 or a win. Sargeant, who also had a mistake, cost himself a potential podium. He managed to recover to P9 with the fastest lap, so he has 3 points in the championship. Daniel Ricciardo now looking to catch up to Leclerc. And ultimately Albon as well. Still don't get why it says McLaren Honda on that car. Because this was a Lando Norris car when I put it on the livery on it. It had a number 4 on it. But Lando Norris never drove a Renault that was powered by a Honda engine in a Grand Prix for at least a full season. He might have done a test session in 18, but by 2019 they switched to Renault. And now they run Mercedes engines again. So I don't really know why that's there. And that McLaren F1 has a BMW engine, so none of that adds up. This Aston Martin actually has an Aston Martin engine in it. Most Aston Martins today use Mercedes engines, AMG ones to be specific, but this actually has a V12. The front 2 cars have a V12. Third and fourth cars have a V8. The fifth and I was going to say the fifth and sixth cars have V10s, but sadly the Nico Hulkenburg is running 10th. Those cars have V10s. We have all kinds of engines on the grid. Front 2, we got V12, V8, V10. The Red Bulls are V6s. The Mercedes are V8. V10s for the Haas cars. The Alpines are running a V6 as well. And the Alfa Romeos are running, I think, a 4-cylinder. It's also why they sound so bad. The Alfa Romeo is a 4-cylinder, so we've got all the way from 4 up to 12 cylinders represented in this grid. As we've got blue flags for Valtteri Bottas, speak of the devil. Valtteri Bottas will be the first car to get lapped in this race, other than mine. Yeah, so I guess me choosing that Alfa Romeo is the one manufacturer that didn't get a second driver doesn't matter. So if I ever do decide to bother putting together a Constructors' Championship, Alfa Romeo is guaranteed last place. The Alfa Romeo 4C is a terrible car, so, you know, Alfa Romeo kind of got the crap end of the stick there. Here goes Fernando Alonso, trying to make a move down the inside of the lap car, unable to get around. This is going to be music in Lando Norris's ears. Fernando Alonso is going 70 miles an hour behind the lap car. Lando Norris takes the lead of the race. Fernando Alonso is sitting behind Bottas, just sitting there. What are you doing, man? Alonso finally goes around Bottas. What was he thinking? Lando Norris runs away with the lead. That is the most strange thing I've ever seen. I think Fernando Alonso just had a stroke while driving. That is the most odd thing I've ever witnessed. The next lap car would be Logan Sargeant, who is on his way out of the pits. But he gets on track behind Lando Norris and in front of Fernando Alonso. That's another blue flag. Is Alonso going to stick behind Sargeant for 3 hours this time? Albon's in the pits. He's finally made his stop. Both Williams came in at around the same time. Problem is the AI with a blue flag will slow down and cede position, but the car trying to get around might just have a stroke and forget to get around them. This time Alonso, who is side by side with Logan Sargeant, does not decide to sit on a straight and do 60 miles an hour. In fact, he pushes Sargeant off the track. Well-deserved. Sargeant shouldn't really be there. Leclerc is now on the podium, but only until Albon gets back around. Unless Albon can't get back around. Alexander Albon is in 9th. He's got Kevin Magnussen on his tail, who doesn't have to make a pit stop. Possibly. Nico Hulkenburg, where is he? Where's Nico Hulkenburg at? 8th. Nico Hulkenburg is ahead of Albon, and if that says anything, Hulkenburg could be in podium position possibly. He's just got to get around Yuki Tsunoda. Can he get it done this time? He's going a lot faster. Tsunoda blocks. Hulkenburg unable to make a move. Not quite. He'll have to try again next lap. Sergio Perez in the pits. He pits 1 lap later than his teammate, Max Verstappen, who finds himself 13th at the moment. Oscar Piastri now has destroyed his tires in the last 10 minutes. Utterly destroyed them. Somehow has more wear than his teammate, despite having the best tires on the grid all of 10 minutes ago. No car can go the whole race on one set of tires. Fernando Alonso is pushing hard to catch back up to Lando Norris. Logan Sargeant is a lap down, going for a move on Fernando Alonso. That's not legal. That's not legal. Logan Sargeant is being held up by the lead cars. This is a really interesting situation. He wants to make a move, but he technically can't pass the car because he's a lap down. He's really fast, too. Fernando Alonso is about to need to make a pit stop, either this lap or next. He wants to try and catch Lando Norris back and take the lead before he pits. He had a brain aneurysm. He had something happened with staying behind Valtteri Bottas, but he decided that he was going to catch back up to Lando Norris real quick, who is going to go about 3, maybe 4 laps longer than Alonso on tires. Really depends on whether or not Alonso pits this or next lap. He's almost got a dead tire, but that doesn't seem to be hindering his pace even slightly. Logan Sargeant's going to want Alonso to pit soon so that he can get around him legally, as Alonso looked at the inside of Lando Norris, and oh, he gets really loose on exit. Really loose for Fernando Alonso. He has a big moment. Logan Sargeant looking to attack illegally yet again. Here he is, Logan Sargeant on the outside. Logan Sargeant doesn't get around. He gets right up to the bumper, but he can't pass because it's not legal. Alonso is struggling on that tire. Logan Sargeant down the inside. What is he doing? Logan Sargeant is battling for a position he can't have, and Fernando Alonso is going 1 more lap on that tire. What is this team thinking? That tire's gone. He had no traction entering the straight. Lost about a second on Lando Norris and has a lap car battling him, and the tire is dead. Alonso could have a puncture at any point in this lap now, and he might just lose it. He's going to have no traction from that one tire. Leclerc now runs 3rd. He's got threats further back in the field from Hulkenburg, potentially Albon, if Hulkenburg can get around Tsunoda, whose tires are, for lack of a better term, gone. Daniel Ricciardo now comes in the pits. His tire is dead. Tsunoda's is as well, and Hulkenburg gets into the back of Tsunoda. No damage to either car, but that was a scary moment for the German driver. He's never gotten a podium in his career in Formula 1, and this is a chance for him to score a podium against his fellow competitors in Formula 1, so he's going to want it if he can get around Tsunoda. Tsunoda has to pit this lap, though, so Hulkenburg is guaranteed to get the position by the start of next lap. But with Albon not too far behind, he's going to get ahead sooner. Lando Norris entering the final chicane. Logan Sargeant once again goes side by side. Just about gets around Fernando Alonso. As Alonso, very loose. Alonso, did he cross the pit line? I don't know, it looked like he was struggling to get in the pits there, had no traction whatsoever. Logan Sargeant has been freed and can now catch up to Lando Norris and then battle with a car that he's lapped down from again. Alonso comes out of the pits. Where is Leclerc when Alonso comes out of the pits? Leclerc has passed the pit lane exit. Lewis Hamilton is on his way. Fernando Alonso exits the pits in P3 ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Charles now the second driver to overtake Bottas on the road, and the second driver to have a brain aneurysm, but only for about 6 seconds. He does get around Bottas a lot quicker than Fernando did last time he had to do so, but he's going to have to get around Bottas again on track, because Valtteri's tires are... Valtteri might not pit once this race, but he's running last, so it doesn't even matter anyways. Logan Sargeant is on the back of Lando Norris. Unlike in a sport like NASCAR, if you are a lap down, you are required to get out of the way. So if a car's lap down, he can't fight and get around the car who is leading. Norris sliding on exit there. Leclerc and Norris both gonna have to pit real soon, as Alonso finds himself in a dreaded situation behind Bottas, about to enter the straight. Will he wait for a year to get around him this time, or will he just get it done quickly? He'll be right on the back bumper out of the corner exit, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What are you doing? Get around the man. Nico Hulkenburg is absolutely flying. Is he going to get around Alonso? Nico Hulkenburg gets around Fernando Alonso. Alonso was sitting behind Bottas for so long. Nico Hulkenburg came through and is on the podium for the first time in his career in this sport. He's been on the, I'm sure he's been in the podium positions before, but he is on track to get his first ever podium in an F1 style event. And his tires are looking great so far. I don't see him needing to pit again. Fernando Alonso has shit the bed again. Excuse my language for that, but still. What are you doing, man? Leclerc's tires are almost ready to sign out. For his sake, I'm hoping they do sign out before the end of this lap. Lando Norris will go at least one more lap, because those tires have one more sliver to go before they are completely dead. Carlos Sainz runs 18th, and his Ferrari teammate, Charles, is now in the rearview mirror. That's a problem. For Sainz, not for Leclerc, obviously. We found that drivers that are required to stay on a dead tire for a lap really tend to struggle on that lap. I could have sworn last race we had a little thing that told us the lap times for the drivers. I want to see if we can get that back. No, we don't get to look at the lap times this time. I don't know why. That's weird. Maybe it has a difference between saving the replay and watching it back right after it happens. Don't know. Figure out later. Leclerc's tires still not dead. Still got one more lap on track at least. Lando's probably going to go yet another. I don't see his tire dying by the end of this lap. I see Leclerc's tire dying halfway through the lap. But it hasn't died yet. Best case scenario for Leclerc is his tire dies entering the straight or somewhere in the final chicane. Lando Norris pushes on for one more lap as Nico Hulkenburg and Fernando Alonso have both pretty much caught up to the back of Leclerc, who still has to make a pit stop, may I remind you. Nico Hulkenburg absolutely flying. Leclerc, tire's not quite dead yet. Looks like he'll be soldiering on for one more lap. Lando Norris does have a dead tire in the lead of the race at the moment. The Ferrari stays out for one more lap. His tire surely will die this on lap 36. It dies before lap 36. It just dies after the pit lane. Norris will be happy that that happened because now Leclerc gets to hold Hulkenburg up. Good for Norris because Hulkenburg is absolutely rapid, but Fernando Alonso still isn't slow. That Haas car is incredible, and considering that it wasn't really doing much at Daytona, I am more than happy to see it up front here. It looks like different tracks just suit different cars, and the Red Bulls are not suited for this track. They might want to make a switch to a different car. I don't got any rules against that. A team may do whatever's best for its drivers. Logan Sargeant finally can drive the way he wants to and catch up to his actual competition as Lando Norris enters the pits. Nico Hulkenburg now, with a big slipstream on the Ferrari. Leclerc positioning the car. Hulkenburg looks at the inside, knows that Leclerc is boxing this lap, so all he has to do is push. Here comes Norris. He's on pit exit now. I just noticed his name is on the windshield wiper. That's also on Piastri's car, but Piastri might as well be Norris based on his performance. Norris will have a lap car. He'll have Carlos Sainz in front of him. Nico Hulkenburg does not catch up to Lando Norris. Norris is coming through the first chicane, and now Nico Hulkenburg is. And Hulkenberg's tires are half done, just about. But with only 8 minutes left in the race, tire wear is not even a factor anymore. Carlos Sainz lets Lando Norris through. I guess the Carlando brothers, you know, sort of bromance. Sainz didn't want to hold up his bro. Magnussen's tires look okay. He might still be able to stay out. Albon's fourth. Albon started on the podium, looked like he was going to have one. Not anymore. Alonso unable to catch the Hulkenburg. He was the winner at Daytona. I don't even know if he had the fastest car. He just started far enough up the field and was able to make enough moves early to secure the win. Hulkenburg not far behind Lando Norris. Hulkenberg's going to give it everything he can with a shot to win. As Norris comes up on Esteban Ocon, he also comes up on Pierre Gasly, who has exited the pits in front of Lando Norris. Both Alpine cars about to get lapped. They are in the way of the lead fight, potentially. Hulkenberg still has to clear Sainz. Norris has to clear both Alpine cars. Norris being held up by Pierre Gasly, who's not getting out of the way. He's clearly not as fond of Lando Norris as Carlos Sainz was. Gasly's still in the way. Lando Norris finally gets through. Here comes Nico Hulkenburg for the lead. Nico Hulkenburg takes the lead of the race. Side by side with Lando Norris, Nico Hulkenburg did a great job of clearing the lap cars to take the lead of the race in the Haas. What an amazing change of events. The lap cars have made such an impact in this race that it's incredible. It is incredible. The lap cars are responsible for 2 lead changes. Both lead changes in this race. Lap cars are responsible, and we still have 1 lap car to go, so it's still possible we see yet another lap car situation. Will Sainz let Alonso through easily? It's his hero growing up, and his fellow Spaniard countryman. Sainz is in Fernando's way for sure. Yep, no, he's in the way. Alonso's chances of winning this race are gone. As Hulkenburg catches up to Ocon, Fernando is praying that he can get around Carlos Sainz. We didn't have lap cars as an issue at Daytona, as the track was long enough for every car to stay on the lead lap. Alonso threw on Sainz finally. Lost plenty of time. Lando Norris is back into the lead. Hulkenburg this time has the brain aneurysm when it comes to the lap car. He'll be devastated to lose the lead like that, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Norris with now about a second on Hulkenburg. Hulkenberg's going to have to try everything to attempt and gain that lead back, and he will probably try just about everything. He's still within a distance to catch the British driver. Fernando Alonso is getting screwed over by lap cars. Every time he runs into a lap car, it's in a very inconvenient spot, and these lap cars don't just dive out of the way. They sit in front of you and go 70 miles an hour. Carlos Sainz has just unlapped himself from Fernando Alonso. Alex Albon might catch up to Alonso if this lap traffic continues to be such an anal issue. Lance Stroll is the next lap car. I don't suspect that the leaders will catch up to him yet. I think he's far enough ahead to where this race is now down to the drivers, so the drivers only. I'm almost disappointed to see Nico Hulkenberg not win this race, because that would have been an incredible story. Lando Norris still deserves the race win, just as much as Hulkenberg would have, but something about Hulkenberg winning would have been special. Alonso's finally around the Alpines. An Alpine. I don't know if he's ahead of... Nah, he is ahead of the Alpine. Maybe? Is Hulkenberg able to bring the fight to Lando Norris with all of 3 laps to go, most likely? Leclerc still has the fastest lap from the beginning of the race. He'll hold on to that point unless someone else can do something about it. I'm surprised that the driver with the fastest lap in this race is down in 6th. His race strategy, as always with Ferrari, was terrible, and it costed him some time. Norris is running away with the win. Lando Norris, a deserving driver. Honestly, the top 3 were all deserving of a win. As Alonso still has to clear the Ferrari and the other Alpine. Although he might not ever catch up to them. I think he still definitely has 3rd place locked up, though. As Hulkenberg is now being caught by the lap cars, his tires have said sayonara. And his lead and chances of winning are gone. He must be a little upset, but still, 2nd place is an amazing race. And if Lando Norris holds on to win, he is indefinitely the championship leader. Lando Norris comes across the line to take the white flag. Starts his final lap of the race. All drivers should be, just about all drivers should get a chance to do one more lap, with maybe the exception of Lance Stroll and Carlos Sainz. Logan Sargeant looks like probably one of the last drivers, unless Stroll gets lucky, to have another lap. The very bottom feeders look like they're on their final lap. Nico Hulkenburg runs second. He's struggling with the tires, but this is his last lap, so he definitely does not need another pit stop. Neither does his teammate, Kevin Magnussen. Haas had a great run today. They're gonna love their position. Here comes Lando Norris down the back straight for the final time today. He's had an incredible race. He started on the front row, sort of, because it's a grid start here. And he's been relevant the whole time. Never truly let Fernando Alonso get away, and got lucky with Lando Norris is your winner. Nico Hulkenburg is in second place. Fernando Alonso finishes third. What an incredible race here today at Road Atlanta as Albon comes to cross the line fourth. Kevin Magnussen, P5. What a great race. Here comes Leclerc. He is P6. Sergio Perez is the lead Red Bull today. He's going to jump his teammate in the points today. Sergio Perez comes home in 7th. Daniel Ricciardo, with another decent race, comes home 8th. Max Verstappen, sadly for him, 9th. Yuki Tsunoda wraps up the points as Lewis Hamilton and Oscar Piastri so close and yet so far. George Russell now comes across the line to take 13th as Logan Sargeant, rather disappointingly, will come across the line for P14. Logan Sargeant now crosses the line, and so is Perez that I hit when I was being a scandal. Celebrating Lando Norris, your winner at Road Atlanta. Nico Hulkenburg with an incredible P2, his first ever podium in any motorsport that I'm aware of at the moment. Fernando Alonso makes the podium for the second time in a row. Not a win like he would have wanted, but still cannot be upset with his performance. Alexander Albon runs a good, solid P4. Kevin Magnussen with a great P5. Leclerc has the fastest lap, but he only finished 6th, which is lower than he would have wanted. Sergio Perez, P7. Daniel Ricciardo, P8. Max Verstappen, 9th. And Yuki Tsunoda hangs on to the points, getting his first point of the season. Oscar Piastri will be a little disappointed as he only finished 12th. Lando Norris, folks. Before we end here, I'll run you through the grid here. Norris, Hulkenburg, Alonso, Albon, Magnussen, Leclerc, Peréz, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Hamilton, Piastri, Russell, Sargeant, Stroll, Sainz, Ocon, Gasly, Bottas, Tedesco. That's me. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Man, look at that. What a great race. To everybody who watched, I hope you enjoy, and we will see you next time in Japan.